All right, welcome everyone to this year's first community call. New brand, new year, new me. Actually, it's been a while. I've grown a beard since the last community call. Then I cut it, and now I'm here without a beard. It's been a really long time. I missed you guys. Hopefully, everybody's had a wonderful holiday period. And we're kicking off the year in style with a pretty amazing guest. Also, Hux is back to ruin the call for us. How's it going, Hux?
Going super well, super happy to be back, and thanks for this nice intro for me. I was looking forward for this one.
You know I love you. And then, of course, last but not least, we have Josh with us, who's also known as the Blockchain Socialist. We met him, we met at a panel in Bangkok at DEF CON. Sorry, guys, I can't speak today. At DEF CON, we had a really good conversation. So I started working on bringing Josh on to meet you guys all. How is it going, Josh?
It's going great. Yeah, I mean, it's been, well, honestly, it's been it's been stressful. It's been a stressful week. A lot has been going on. There's a lot to discuss, and try to make sense of it. So excited to talk about it because I think NIM is definitely a big part of, I think, the conversation that we should be having with what's going on.
Yep, more on that later. But guys, I don't know if you saw the announcement tweet and also the Telegram post. Josh also has his own podcast, which is called the Blockchain Socialist, same as his handle on Twitter. Make sure to check it out. There are episodes both with Jaya, by the way, and also Harry, which is super interesting. I recommend those as a first listen. And also, Josh wrote the book Blockchain Radicals, which is also recommended reading. So hopefully Salazar can drop links to all of the mentioned content in the chat, and make sure to check it out, guys. So without further ado, let's also do the usual housekeeping items. Damn, I'm out of practice. It's been a while. So first of all, a big thanks again for our entire community for joining. It's lovely to have you guys here. As always, we're going to be keeping an eye on your questions, both on the YouTube and Twitch live chats, and also on Matrix. So if you don't want to log in with your YouTube account and compromise your privacy, you can also leave your questions on the general chat of the NIM Matrix server, and we're also keeping an eye there. If your question is highly relevant to what we're talking about right at that time, then I'm going to be picking it up in real time. Otherwise, we're just going to be addressing it at the end during the Q&A. So stay tuned for that. And with that said, let's jump into our call, which is titled Presidential Rugpulls and the Politics of Crypto. Yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting conversation. Now, first of all, just some primers, okay? I wanted to ask you, Josh, since you basically, maybe not, you didn't write the book about it, but you write at least a book about it. Is crypto even political? Why are we talking about the politics of crypto? Is it not, like some people like to say, politically neutral, and it's just above politics? What do you think about this?
Yeah. So so my position is that definitely crypto is very political. And it's something that I find it quite strange, when people say, crypto is apolitical. I find it kind of strange to like declare that you're going to completely, get rid of the banks and also say it's a non-political movement. So I think the reality is that there are a lot of political intentions behind cryptocurrency, and the people who created it, putting aside whether or not you agree with their particular politics, there was political intention or a desire to change like political institutions and how they work. I would say that, in some ways you could argue that cryptocurrency is neutral to a certain degree, as in neutral, as in it doesn't discriminate who uses it and what your particular politics are in using it. Um, but there are, certain political intentions. I think what that mainly means, though, that what I mean by political is not that like, only Republicans or libertarians should use crypto or whatever, but more so that there are political implications, and how you use it has pretty strong political implications to it. So, you could argue that the instance where people were giving money to WikiLeaks, for example, is something that you could put, broadly as like a, depending on how you define the left and the right wing spectrum, which is always like a fuzzy thing. You could claim it to be a left wing, use of Bitcoin, and it was the first use of Bitcoin. But if you're talking about like, people who are holding Bitcoin as solely a, because they believe in like a monetary system in which everything, it looks kind of like the gold standard, then that I would say, like, you are modeling it in a way, you are imposing on top of a technical infrastructure which does fit in some way to it, right? It's not like completely, that you're crazy for doing that, but it imposes a logic of like a conservative libertarian economic worldview. And so those are just like two different, like, uses of the same technology, but for, different politics. So it's not that it's like, you know, a right wing or a left wing technology, but that it is, political.
It definitely is political. Anything to add there, Hux?
Yeah, this quote came to mind, I'm not sure who said it, but it goes like, every cultural object is inherently political in a way that it changes something, how we as a society work together or how we perceive things working together. So in that sense,
Langdon Winner.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Yeah. So
it's a good essay. Yeah.
So that came to mind, and then I thought about tech neutrality a bit, and I was thinking, Josh, what you kind of recited, or how permissionlessness and how sort of like the censorship resistance of distributed decentralized systems are kind of one way of providing equal access to some sort of utility. But just the sheer fact that we provide this utility without filtering or without gatekeeping, that's in itself, I think, is kind of a political act, in a way that we bank the unbanked is true. In Africa, it's easier for you to have a Bitcoin wallet in your mobile than to register a bank account. So it's kind of all this sort of leveling up the playing field. I think that in itself is some sort of a, it definitely doesn't feel like a conservative aspect to how things should be run in the world, by and large. By it's not the individualist, it's not the very monarchist, or like the I don't know, we're kind of regressing a bit from democracies, I think, at some point, as my personal opinion. But so it's definitely not that bunch. And I'm this weirdest guy who, when we talk about like, is this political or not, I'm just really thinking about my own political, standpoint on things. And I'm really confused right now. So on one hand, I'm super happy about some things. And on the other hand, I'm super sad about some other things. And it's the same thing, I'm just really, my political compass is just like spinning around as if over a magnet or something. So I'm just really cannot make sense. And I really like what you said, Josh. I hope that we can make a bit more sense together of what's happening, because I would really appreciate, kind of having a better feel for it, of what should I be happy for it,
Right.
Oh,
we lost. We ended it.
Yeah, we lost him.
right when he finished.
There he is.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, that was the perfect timing, Hux. Right when you finished, you dropped. All right, so this was the high level, right? Crypto as a technology, whether it's political or not. Now let's talk about a bit more specifically about the landscape, and also maybe the demographics, and also the in the past, so not in the future, because that's the next part of this conversation. So what Jaya told me, and I think she also said this on one of the previous episodes of the community call, which I had her on, was that what draw her in initially to the crypto world, partly, was the fact that it seemed to be maybe just the one and only, but at least one of the few spaces which had all kinds of people from all sides and corners of the political spectrum. So anything from libertarians to lefties, anarchists, and everything in between. Everybody could find something in this technology, even though these political ideologies are radically, viciously different, and sometimes at each other's throats. So Josh, I wanted to ask you about the political history of crypto. So how do we see the political landscape evolving over time since the Bitcoin white paper dropped back in 2009?
Yeah, so there's there's a really good book if you're interested in like really reading into the history, called Digital Cash by Finn Brunton, that I could recommend. But kind of some of the TLDR that I got from that book and from other research is that, you know, the intention behind Bitcoin already had a kind of political bent to it that did have a kind of conservative libertarian politics, you could say. It doesn't fit necessarily like traditional conservatism that you would normally think about in kind of like in most countries kind of political landscape. It's a bit different because of the libertarian tinge to it. But I would say that like at the start of like the creation of Bitcoin, there wasn't it was definitely like a fairly plural kind of umbrella of people who were all kind of nerds, but maybe just coming from different political backgrounds, just kind of nerding out about this tech thing that was like interesting in the sense that it like, Bitcoin did solve a like technical problem that had been out there in computer science for a while. And it wasn't just related to money, it was also related to other things. Like, I think voting systems is also like the same. Like, the double spend problem is not just spending money, but like spending like political, points for like an election or something like that. But the kind of the narrative that stuck more, I think, after the creation of Bitcoin and maybe like, a year or so into it, was this money narrative. Um, because it was kind of like intentionally, it was put out like that as like a form of digital cash or whatever. So there was this interesting thing of people who were really into digital gold, like the idea of digital gold, in a project, I believe it was called BitGold, had been, I think, shut down by the US government. So you had this like pretty large amount of people who were already interested in this idea of like just creating a digital version of the gold standard. And then they lost the thing that they were all galvanized around because the US government shut it down. And I think it was an easy step to just go to Bitcoin, because it was like, oh, this is kind of the same thing and, does kind of what we like. And then I think over time, still there was a fair amount of space. I think there was certain leanings towards libertarianism. And I think what happened is that after the proliferation of like Ethereum, then like all these other chains, like I think the like different blockchains with different sort of like economics programmed into them attracted different types of people to their space, and whether or not they like necessarily thought about it as like, this is my political stance on something, but simply thought of it as just like, maybe just to them common sense, it was like, oh yeah, that makes sense to whatever, change the inflation schedule like this or that, because it doesn't really make sense to me. Why would you want like a, you know 21 million as the cap? So like, I think there was like these common sense things that maybe people were like kind of leaning towards, is then what kind of like also helped them explore their kind of like political economic views through a cryptocurrency or something like that. And then that it became a kind of, I think cryptocurrency is like a radicalization process for a lot of people as well, for better or for worse. Um, and so now I think we have this kind of spectrum of different chains that like have different economics to them that certain types of people may move towards. And now you see like Bitcoin, I would say, as like culturally very, very stagnant as far as like who is attracted into it for the most part. I mean, there are certainly exceptions, but for the most part, from what I've seen at least, it's largely like people who are like really, really dedicated to like, Bitcoin will not change. It's going to stay the same. And that is a good thing. It is a feature, not a bug. Otherwise, go to another one. So yeah, I think I would argue that there's probably, the original nerds who maybe were all into Bitcoin because it was the first one, have kind of like dispersed into various other projects with different, economic logics to them.
I think it's super cool what you said. I only add that what even complicates this picture further of how these separate technologies or chains work as like filters for some cultural aspect or some political aspect. I think that there's crypto is fundamentally made up of economics, cryptography, governance, and maybe something. It's very different subject matters, and there's some chains which lean on, and the culture somehow revolves around some aspects of think about Lunaterra or like some like DeFi magic chain, which is really economic money creation. I don't know, next level ideas or hyperstation of some future vision that this can be money too if it try it hard enough. And then there's the governance. The DAO culture in Ethereum is unmatched in any other ecosystem. That's the edge, but that's kind of also why it's it's non-pluralized culturally. So it's like it's lots of DAO nerds doing nerdy DAO, like lots of elaborated governance systems, and kind of economics is forgotten, not really, but in a way that no one really cares about economics or marketing or some maybe cryptography, So, and then there's the ZK stuff, which is also the crypto nerds saying that, okay, but this man is private forever, if you use this. So kind of that also attracts its own. And then I think it also matters how distributed really the people are who shape these cultures, right? Because then also it also in fact affects that if it's an economically driven chain, economics chain, then it's kind of that's going to really define what's happening there. So I do think it's like I always consider it as, I used to look at it like sects, like proper like hardcore believers in our own hoodies, they're fighting for the next free merch at the opening of the next conference thing. But then now I more look at it like these neo-tribal cultures, like sort of like this kind of diaspora of like from the initial tech is available and ready, and the Bitcoin, Ethereum. Now it's like it's so easy to create a new chain, so it is a roll-up, so easy to launch a DApp, like, or a DAO, like you can just a variety of options you have. So it's really gonna help, I think, the cultural and the value sort of sense prevail and sort of crystallize. So I do think that we're gonna see lots of maturity in the upcoming years of crypto politics. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a crypto parliament, or some sort of governmental body across chains that sort of manages some reputation or stands out together for, I don't know, like, so yeah, sorry, taking a bit too far there in the beginning, but yeah. So the human aspect is super interesting, and these different, not sure, Josh, like I'm curious, like which tribe are you the most? Do you take, like, do you call yourself like a Bitcoiner or an Ethereum max? I don't know. It's like, what do you identify at all with any of these labels?
I mean, I don't identify very strongly with any particular label, except for the fact, like, the honest truth is that I've spent the most time in Ethereum and like the Ethereum space for sure, like by far. I think in large part that was just the first project that got me really interested into the cryptocurrency space. Bitcoin to me was not so interesting when I had first learned about it a while ago. And then, I mean, I also, maybe it was just a confluence of me being at a point where I could actually spend more time looking into this stuff. I don't know. But the idea of smart contracts and DAOs were like, for me, was like wow, this is really, really interesting. I really, really want to keep up with this and like spend time going into it. So there are certain things, I mean, so there are certain things that I respect and I really enjoy about the Ethereum space. But there's also things that I enjoy and respect about, Cosmos, about like all these other ones that also have smart contract capabilities. I think that's kind of like, for me, Bitcoin is just kind of boring in that regards. I know they have like some ways of doing smart contract things, but I'm just like, it just seems so like slow and just like less interesting for me than what's going on elsewhere. So I try to identify, I mean, it's in the name. Like, I identify more as a socialist. And so like, for me, it's more like, I care about like, what are we doing than like what particular technical stack we're using. But the technical stack kind of like decides or greatly influences, kind of politically the extent of things that you're able to do and how hard and how easy certain things may be. So I would say, yeah, that's kind of my position at the moment.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
And I'm just, it's really hard to be an observer and like a good researcher, and also when we're the subject of the observation, it's kind of like it's a weird thing that we're in it. And
Yeah.
I always get shocked by how many new projects and ecosystems there are that I never even heard of. Like a lot of people doing something together, which is also a blockchain, which seems cool, and that's the first time I hear about the brand. That's just crazy how how bifurcated our digital realities are across the cyberspace, right? Like what the information gets to you from crypto Twitter. What's your crypto Twitter like? What's my like? Am I even on Twitter? Like you're a Noster. So yeah. All right. But sorry for taking it so far away. I just put on my intellectual glasses and had to go with whatever came to my mind.
Very nice. We can obviously see the effect of the intellectual glasses plus the scarf. Very important.
Right.
I will gently steer us back towards the topics that we actually discussed, because they are not quite yet, because I wanted to bring something else into the conversation, which is the fact that I think not everybody agrees with me on this. Some people say that the whole anti-establishment narrative, as one of the founding principles of crypto, is overblown, and it was not actually the case. It was more an academic project than anything. I do think that crypto, and especially the movement that formed around it, is fundamentally anti-establishment. I think this is what basically glued it together. The other thing that's for certain is that until recently, except for some baby steps, right, crypto was disowned technology. It was the regulatory environment was hostile and ambiguous on purpose, as most of you, I think, agree with me on. And then the rhetoric from officials was always very negative. So it was the basically the tool for money launderers, all kinds of criminals. We've heard this over and over again in the early life of crypto. And then recently, right? Fast forward to 2024, we have the Bitcoin ETF approved, which is a major legitimizing factor for crypto, right? So now actually all the normie investors can easily get exposure to crypto. It was followed by the Ethereum ETF, and then Trump started his campaign on an explicitly pro-crypto platform. This never happened before, right? So he went to crypto events, gave talks. He said he's going to fire Gary Gensler on day one. He floated during the campaign the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Like these are absolutely crazy things. If I told you this I don't know, even just 2-3 years ago, that we're going to be having these conversations, you would probably have called me crazy, right? Then he also promised and then delivered freeing Ross Ulbricht, right, who was one of the political prisoners, the crypto movement, but also of libertarian movement in general. So I just things really sped up over the past year, in my opinion. Crypto is getting a ton of legitimacy, but it looks like this legitimacy is coming from one side of the U.S. political spectrum. So I just wanted to discuss this with you guys, whether crypto is going to lose its previous very diverse nature, where everybody found something in it, to believe in and to pursue, right? This space that Jaya fell in love with, where there were all sides and corners of the political spectrum represented. Is crypto, with all of the recent events, becoming yet another front for the culture war? Is it becoming the typical black and white thing where if you're MAGA, then you have to love it, and then if you're not, then you will hate it? Josh, before the call, we had a bit of a private conversation. You alluded to the fact that you think that this was already happening before these events. So I really wanted to hear your thoughts on this general topic. Where are we headed?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say if we'll go more into this polarization of kind of, which, by the way, I think the polarization is stronger in the US than it is in a lot of other countries. That's just like my personal experience, at least. That when I talk to people on the left in other countries, it's a different conversation. And even with people in the US, I also find the conversation is different. But it also depends on how you're defining left and right. And like I said earlier, these things can be really fuzzy. But so yeah, we can already see, if we backpedal, you already get the feeling that there was this polarization, like Elizabeth Warren, for example, declaring an anti-crypto army or whatever else. And and then people making this association that Elizabeth Warren was the left in the United States. I released a video essay like a couple of weeks before the election happened that was titled "Why the Left Does Not Hate Crypto," to go into like just like analyzing that a bit more and what kind of is actually going on. And you know, one of the conclusions that I'm trying to share with people is that like in American politics, there largely is no left. Like in a traditional, like if you're from another country and you think of like what your left-wing parties are, the US does not have that like at all. It's like you can't even it's hard to make those types of comparisons. So really it's a war between like kind of establishment liberals and like I say people who lean more on the side of like like even more on the side of deregulated financial markets than the institutional liberals do. And
Yeah,
like,
so it's
you know, in
basically
most countries,
it's
go ahead.
basically just the middle of the political spectrum, right? So here's the spectrum, and then this is the US, and this is like the mainstream political discourse in the States, like left side, right side, and then this is the whole spectrum in other countries. So
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders, I would say, was running basically on a social democratic platform. It would be considered that in like Denmark or Sweden or whatever. And then he was like basically the extremist in many people's eyes. So it's a very strange setup over there. Sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add
No,
this.
yeah, no, I mean that's important context. Like I think like and you have to understand like Bernie Sanders is like hated by everyone, you know, in terms of like I mean hated in the sense of like he doesn't have many allies within Congress, right? He is a little bit of a lone wolf in the Senate as being, you know, he has to make like individual alliances between people in order to like and he actually is very good at passing legislation because he is unattached, you know, at least for most of his political career was unattached by a political party. It was not part of the Democrats. It was only like he basically did the Trump thing in 2016 of like, I'm going to try to take over the party. And the party in the Democrats case were much more successful in quelling, you know, that kind of like change. Whereas the Republicans kind of bent the knee to Trump and that takeover of their party. So yeah, is it going to get worse? It's hard to say. I can't like what I would like to think is that now things like people on the left, however you want to say it, or like people who I would say who don't really have much political power in the US generally anyways, people who would be part of the left that are maybe part of like more local endeavors or initiatives would begin to take the technology more seriously. Um, I think the issue that I'm seeing more and more is that like, or part of the issue why it's been difficult even for me to get like other people on the left to interested in this thing is the aesthetics of crypto are really bad for a lot of people. I think just like if the first thing you think of are scams and like if you just constantly are fed this kind of like stream of hacking and scams and just like the worst people in the world, you kind of see Elon Musk and you see that they're getting enriched by this, but you don't necessarily understand the exact mechanism in which they're getting enriched by this. Then they're going to like, you know, they're going to be really hesitant to get involved in any of that. So that is like a pretty big issue that may get worse. It also may get better. I think that this is kind of a point where like there is like somewhat of an alliance between like the left and liberals in the US, right? Like liberals give kind of platitudes to the left as much as they like are willing to in hopes that they will vote for them because they have no one else to vote for, right? It's like you either vote for us or you vote for them or no one. And the Republic, it's sort of like, do you vote for the person that says I'm going to kill you, or do you vote for the person that says no, I'm your friend, but they have the knife behind their back, and you know they're going to kill you? You know, like neither of them are good
That's a good
choices.
question. Oh, okay, so that was your point that they are not good choice.
Yeah.
Okay, I was like thinking what should I say here, but then okay.
But yeah, but like I mean, you know, so it's really hard because it was like the Democrats ran the worst possible political campaign, I think, in world history, where there were so many things they could have done that would have like just massively increased the amount of voters that would have come out for them. Just nobody had any belief in them. No, like, how could you sit the past 4 years watching, you know, a genocide happening basically like live streamed, and they're doing it and they're telling you they're the progressives and they're the good people and they're going to change the world for the better? Like, how can you believe that? You become completely disillusioned. And so like I think this past election was like one of the lowest voter turnouts. So it's not really that Trump won, but like the Democrats really, really lost. That's more.
I really enjoyed the how you framed the aesthetics of crypto, and then it come to mind like how do new people get introduced to crypto? And the most recent two things that came to mind is hug to a coin, and and then Trump coin.
Yeah.
Most likely
Yeah.
not the best ways to get sort of introduced to something, to being ripped off of your savings in a way or the other. So kind of. Unfortunately, the best onboarding is done by the people who just kind of want to steal the most, or it's somehow very counterintuitive that that's happening. And so I kind of believe that in this way we're gonna move away from the crypto hype. I mean, the next crypto hype is the one where we don't talk about it if it's crypto, it's just a cool app that we use to, utility that we actually use to manage our company or to make decisions or to vote or to co-own a property. These are all NFT crypto stuff, but we just never say the name because it's like, sort of like Voldemort in the Harry Potter saga of like, no, that's the Rugpulls scam thing. We don't touch that. We just do it decentralized way in a permissionless, censorship resistant way. So I think that that's the next breakthrough, is like changing the whole sort of aesthetics or even our own semantics, like how we talk about how the thought leadership is speaking about the industry, like whether you're do you speak the lingo? Like, it's just insanely hard to learn the lingo. Sorry, like if you call it crypto Twitter, it's just hard to know what's really happening. I met a guy super smart at an Ethereum conference, and he was really losing it because he didn't understand the word what was going on the stage, right? And he was like, man, what is taking, like, please, I'm not stupid, I'm economist, like, tell me, like, what these people talk about? It looks interesting, I don't know. So kind of, I think that sort of we're going to gently normalize and find the right words, and by finding those, we're actually going to maybe, I'm not really sure, but I'm hoping that we can make it a generational movement of kind of taking back some of the sovereignty, and some of the power to the people as good socialists, so like just the decision of privacy, whether I'm deciding to be private and not disclosing all of my metadata with you guys if I talk, or my name, for example, currently on this call. Like, so there's gonna be a lot more choices that hopefully people can make if we lose the labels and lose this very rigid sense of identity and political thinking. It's not nice experiments and it's like a fun laboratory for sure, and I'm hoping that many studies gonna be written of contemporary crypto stuff. I again went into the glasses mode. Sorry, I really wanted to tie this into sorry, I really wanted to tie this whole thing in. I'm just tying. I wanted to tie this in that pro. I let you. Sorry, you do it better.
No. Actually, I'll let you try. I'll let you try to tie it in.
Just one chance. What I mean, like, okay, let me prove myself. So listen.
Okay.
I want to tie together like pro crypto president. Getting votes from pro crypto people who want Bitcoin to moon, etc. Elon Musk is there. Cool. First thing he does on his inauguration gala, he invites all the crypto leaders, launches a meme coin. No one knows it in the room. Moons, dumps, regular stuff. So like, how ironic is that in one way, or how it's a wonderful art piece in a way, art performance. It's amazing, but I'm not really sure what this is gonna cause. I'm still like a bit bewildered of how to interpret this whole thing. What does it mean? Is it good for us, or should I be happy? Like
I think well, one of the things that I've kind of observed as like some of the tactics on the right wing that I think hasn't been like really appropriately acknowledged is that kind of what they use shock and awe constantly to create lines. The reason why you enter into like a space that is like kind of like edgelordy spaces, like right-wing edgelords, like they're gonna say the N-word, they're going to say like what do you care about if I say the N-word? I'm gonna say like all these outrageous, like horrendous things. And if you can't handle that, then get out. Like you're going to leave, right? Because you can't stomach it. But what that does is it selects for like particular types of people, probably people who are not like very empathetic or caring. Like a lot of them probably maybe the ones who can take it are either ones who truly believe in the right wing rhetoric or who are like very, very irony poisoned, like they can't, it's hard to take anything seriously anymore when everything just seems like such a joke. And so what I think is potentially part of what's going on is that like a lot of the right wing they don't care if you put in your money, right? They don't like they're dividing people. Like they're creating new lines of division. And that's why I think, for a lot of crypto people who maybe are not fully into like the right wing politics of Trump, why they may feel like, well, some of the things I think I kind of like, some of the things I really don't like, it's because they're intentionally trying to like, flip the like the already territorialized like landscape of politics and how we perceive it, and to say, here are new lines, right? And this is what we're going to do. And this is how they make it in the long run. They're trying to make it difficult for you to actually be opposed to the things that they're doing, because maybe a couple of those things you may like. And so I think this has been like a term that I'm hearing more and more on the right is like anti-woke or like anti-cancel culture. And like I have plenty of critiques of like, cancel culture and like whatever you witness as, it's definitely a phenomena that way in some places. The extent to which they call everything like wokeism, I think, is like completely absurd. But they're taking what basically like institutional liberals have tried, in the way that they've tried to make platitudes towards the left, that the left has like been calling platitudes since the beginning as like something that is like stupid. But then because the left doesn't get half as much like media attention because we don't own anything, you get a lot of people who then perceive the left as basically what institutional liberalism is. And so there's this, then you have this, you make all these things like words start to mean not what they are, because, if someone says, oh, I hate the left, so that like that could mean like, oh, I hate this like bullshit DEI like workshop that I have to do at work whenever I'm just trying to do my job as a developer, and all these HR women are telling me that I need to like do this like anti-racism workshop or something like that doesn't actually do anything or mean anything. Like it doesn't actually fix, racial injustice or whatever else. It's clearly bullshit. And so I think that's a big part of kind of the discourse that makes it all very confusing as well. Send it there.
I really wanted to ask, this is my pinnacle question, or like the one that I meant to bring to this convo. Disclaimer: this is gonna be us speaking into our crystal balls. So our audience knows that we don't know the future, obviously, and we're just gonna be speculating. And we just discussed it briefly with Josh before the call that it's like absolutely impossible to know anything for certain. But I will still ask you guys to speculate, because you mentioned the aesthetics of crypto, right, earlier, and also the enrichment, like how some people see that basically layers of society or specific people or interests are enriched by crypto, which they don't like. And I want to bring into this context, just spelling it out. So the president of the United States, right, which is the highest office arguably in the world, and also maybe like the most legitimate office, although some people will definitely disagree with that, but it's the highest political office that you can have in this world, right? 2 days before getting inaugurated, launches, and I also want to spell this out, launches a meme coin, which is like if you look at any of the rug pull meme coins on pump.fun, with the worst token economics, where you're definitely going to be wrecked. It has those token economics, like some of the worst we've seen. So it's like 80% held by various undisclosed parties, right? 20% available on the market. And two of them, right? So the Trump and the Melania coin.
There's a Baron coin too.
If this happens,
Yeah, there's
really?
a few of them now. Baron coin. Yeah.
Okay, great. So then a trio. And then what was the pastor from Detroit who used the inauguration to also launch his own meme coin?
I heard about it.
With similar
I
token
forgot his name,
economics.
but I heard about it. Yeah.
So it's really crazy and it's hard to spell out. Now, if I did a good job over these community calls over the past 3 years since I've been doing them, I never actually shared my political leanings. I still am not doing that. So I'm not like talking anti-Trump. You may have some guesses where I am politically. I bring on guests who do share theirs, and that's of course beautiful and appreciated. But I want to stay neutral, right? So I'm really just laying out the facts for you guys. This is what actually happened, right? If you're crypto savvy and you look at the token economics of these meme coins, they're absolutely horrifying, right? And since we talked about aesthetics, what is gonna be the damage to the space if a lot of people who were not paying attention to crypto at all, maybe they didn't even hear about it until now, find out about these crypto tokens through this like encounter, right? Possibly losing a whole bunch of money. Is it possibly like a death sentence for the legitimacy of crypto, or how do you guys see this? Because I'm actually this is probably when it comes to this space that I love and want to see succeed. This is my main concern right now, that we got all of these eyeballs, these flashlights or these floodlights on us, and this is the entrance that we got. How do you feel about this?
I mean, it's I mean, I think this is part of the like they're testing people, right? So I have kind of like a half thought that is also related to my talk at DevCon, where I talked about like the use of memes as this kind of like form of masking the movement of capital and for the like influence of political power. So like, it's not surprising, or it's not there's a reason, Musk called it Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, right? And the way that like meme coins work is that they benefit from attention, like general attention, like any attention, more or less. The more that it gets talked about, it's because of like it is an embrace of financial nihilism for sure. I mean, there is like, it's hard to defend this as being like something that is actually bringing any benefit to society. At the very least, with the stock market, you can at least say like, at least stocks are a company and the company is making shit, like the meme coins aren't making anything. So this is a big embrace of nihilism. And like it allows for, I mean, the again, and like the US regulatory landscape is also like culpable to this. Like it was like they made it to where meme coins were the easiest like regulatorily, legally, it was the easiest type of coin to make. Like like it was so absurd why they would even design that type of system in the first place. And they created a perfect environment for these people. They made it even worse. And so like if we have to keep talking about, if Elon Musk is now in this position of power, he's the head of Doge. Doge is going to be mentioned over and over and over again in the news, right? It's just going to like, you're going to get Doge shoved down your throat, that like this is like a word that's going to just keep coming up in your life, and you can't do anything about it because he's at the fucking top of the food chain right now. And so this is like an incredible way to enrich not only themselves, but to enrich the people that follow them. So like in, like global south, like especially Latin American countries, there are these stories of like populist leaders. They go to these neighborhoods and they just like give out money, right? They just like throw money to people and say, vote for us, and this is like, we look at, from the West and we're like, oh my gosh, how could they do this? This is crazy corruption. I think what they've done is that they've created a place where they can, using the market, mask the kind of sinister things that are going on in the background, and create a kind of like, I don't know if cult is the right word, but just like a lot of people who get rich because they're following Elon Musk, because they like listen to the things that he says, because when he tweets something, when he says something and the price goes up and they make money, why are they not going to love him? Like if you became a millionaire off of like a Trump tweet or an Elon Musk tweet, and you had bought the thing just like they told you to say, and you made money off of it, like you're never going to change your political alliance, probably because you made so much money off of it. So it is this form of like market masked kind of, not even populism, but just like creation of like a cult of personality around them, or like a very, very diehard group of people and who now have money, who maybe are willing to use that money to defend you, or use that capital to influence the world, because that's under capitalism. That is how we influence the world, through capital oftentimes. And so yeah, I think there's a lot of sinister things happening in there. It's going to make things a lot more difficult, unfortunately, I think, just continuously, and that's kind of on purpose. I think it's what they want to do. And I mean, I think we have to find just very, very overtly useful use cases of things, of like, this technology, yes, all these people are using it in this way, but these are the ways that we can do it that are like objectively good for your political goals as well, and that are not trying to like enrich these people at the same time. And so I think kind of, the kind of word that I'm thinking about, like calling this phenomena of like market loyalty or market fealty, it's like they're creating situations in which certain groups of people they have to buy into like a cryptocurrency token, it seems, in order to like announce that you are loyal to a particular party. Like, I imagine for sure there are people who are trying to show loyalty to Trump by buying the Trump meme coin. It's like, and to show that like they're bending the knee to these people, and they're using, we usually think of like fealty and loyalty as almost like this, like, imperial China or like medieval Europe type of thing, where you go on your knee and they put the sword and like, yes, you are loyal to me. Here, I think it's looking very similar. It's just happening through like commodity exchange of tokens and capital.
Absolutely. Now, Hux, sorry, before you engage glasses mode, I'm sorry, but we will have to jump to
one sentence summary from me.
One sentence, that's allowed.
I think that we in one way we passed the funeral already. So I think it's gone, this ship, and we have to reframe how we think about the industry and really kind of find our own center spot again, and find better angles of how we create the value through the tech that's been developed and through the social mechanisms that's been developed, and how we are really inclusive. Look, the tech is permissionless. Whoever wants to, as Josh said, anyone can launch a meme coin and you can show your loyalty to me buying Hux coins, just, if you have more, I let you into my secret party too, so it's just that easy. So I think we're gone, and it's a funeral, and I'm really looking forward to what the future brings, and how we can reframe and improve the narratives that's been kind of failing, or maybe we're successful to the point that we made it here, it's official, it's recognized, ETFs, presidential meme coins, and this crazy sentence, no? So, but I think it's time to rethink, realign, and find a good way forward before we perish into the divisional lines that being fed to us through all mediums. So, yeah. Sorry, that wasn't a sentence. I lied.
Technically, that was one sentence with a lot of commas in it. So it was like a very complex, sentence. We'll let you get away with it this one time only. All right. So next up are the community questions. Fascinating conversation so far. And since you mentioned Latin America, Josh, I want to start with our question from Rocio. our Latin American community contributor. So Rocio is asking, historically, the development of Latin American politics is a case study. Dictatorships, extreme left, right, and progressivism, if I can speak. What impact do you think crypto will have on emerging countries?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll of course be like a case by case basis. Different countries have different they're in different positions in the geopolitical landscape. I think there's, you know, one thing that kind of the people who like to who like to keep implying that like the left doesn't do anything with crypto forget, maybe slightly controversial examples, but you have North Korean hackers who are clearly getting a lot of money in through DeFi hacks. You have Venezuela who created the Petro cryptocurrency token, which I don't know what is the state of it now, but it's supposed to be the backing of their oil and are backed by their oil. And you have Cuba has fairly, like in the last year or so at least, they created like a regulatory framework for the issuance of cryptocurrencies in their country, like from their country. So like these countries that even, right wingers love to like complain about as whatever being like left wing hellholes or whatever you want to call it. It's not like they haven't embraced crypto in some way. For different things, but yeah, I mean, there's, I think, just to mention that the other impact I think that is going to be interesting, and I'm not sure yet exactly where the direction is going to go, but I feel like probably there's going to be a mass proliferation of stablecoins, right, as there already has been. So like I think the irony is sort of like a lot of the crypto people wanted the destruction of the US dollar. I think stable coins are actually reinforcing the power of the US dollar, these US dollar backed stable coins. And I don't blame people in the global south, in Latin America and elsewhere. Like I think these are people just looking for like solutions for very hard problems. I think there is something to say for some part of that problem at least may having to do with US foreign policy in those countries and how they influence via markets or via just regulation on them. So I think I read, a little bit ago, like a couple of months, that like over 50% of the world population is under some kind of US um, embargo or like financial restriction or something like that. Like over 50% of the world. Like the US is not making friends in that process, but it is also giving a reason for people to use stable coins, which are like privately issued dollars. So they don't have like whatever guarantees of the FDIC or whatever else. So there could be, I think, still interesting things to come out. My hope is that the interesting things are not just about like holding US dollars and remittances. My hope is that, those are places where we really begin to see, legitimately decentralized, resilient infrastructure as a basis for how people are able to govern themselves in places where it is difficult to do so. That would be the ideal.
So I agree with you. And just a quick note on this: that is not to say that remittances are not huge. These
Yeah.
use cases, I think, are beautiful, and also they are proving like legitimate, actual real life use cases of crypto, which I think in the West are lacking a little bit because we're way more theoretical about it because we can afford to be, right. So absolutely agree. Moving on to a question from Crete. I already like the question. Can't wait to hear your answers to it. Thanks for the question, Crete. Do you see more political leaders launching meme coins? Question mark.
Probably. Probably. I think they broke the Overton window on that one. And now it's like I think plenty of figures who look up to Trump, I think, are looking at it. They're probably going to watch how it goes. I mean, if it goes so horribly, maybe not, but I think for sure we will see it. I think it'll, you know, but there's still like it depends on the country's relationship to crypto to some degree, I think, and
And
yeah, I think it'll happen. I just don't know it'll be as successful.
Also the
if you want to consider it a success.
Also the persona of the president, no, or the figure, right? Because this is not fitting to all political characters. It's fitting to the funny guy who's an entrepreneur, you know, or like the defiant with the status quo kind of Trump persona. But maybe some others, not as much. I don't know.
I have a bit of a contrarian take here. I think probably not, because in my personal opinion, although this could go either way, but in my personal opinion, everything is in place for these coins to go to absolute shit. And they're gonna leave some pretty bad taste in a pretty large number of mouths. So I would say if this goes down fast, then nobody would want to follow in those footsteps. I could be wrong. I'm not sure. Nobody knows. Like, this timeline is really insane. So maybe we'll see a meme coin from all the leaders around the world. We'll see. All right. I think we only have time for one more question, which is a funny one from Bump. From the picture of the broadcast, does Josh use a VPN? Now, here's the thing, guys. I don't know if you saw your own feed, Josh. It was a little blocky at times. What you guys need to understand, where are you right now, Josh? If you don't mind me asking?
I'm in Europe right now.
Europe, okay. So then it's not 3 continents, only 2 continents. I'm in Hanoi, Vietnam. Hux, I believe, is also in Europe, in Central Europe. So a lot of countries are being connected by this call, and sometimes Restream, the tool that we're using, is not handling that too well. But hopefully Josh is using a VPN. Josh, are you using a VPN?
I mean, for this one, for streaming, I don't really use it because I worry about the connection, and then it makes it really choppy, and sometimes with VPN, so I didn't really want to risk it. But generally, yeah, I use right now. I think because I pay for Proton, so I have a Proton VPN, but I'm looking forward, definitely wanting to use the NIM VPN when that is ready this year, I think.
Absolutely. Coming very soon. You can already actually use it
You
for
can just
free.
yeah.
So all right. Unfortunately, we have to skip the rest of our questions because we're over time. So I just wanted to thank you both for coming on. Thanks to Hux for co-hosting and bringing the intellectual glasses with him. Hopefully, we'll get to see those next time as well. And of course, Josh, huge thanks for hopping on, man. It was a lot of fun. Any closing remarks?
No, I really appreciate you giving the time to me and to share my my hot takes and opinions about the political landscape of crypto. There's plenty more. If you guys are interested in kind of the things that I'm saying and my work, definitely check out my website's just theblockchainsocialist.com. And my book is called Blockchain Radicals: How Capitalism Ruined Crypto and How to Fix It. And if you're also interested in kind of practical use cases in, you know, crypto from a kind of, the term that we use is post-capitalist lens, from a more progressive point of view, then check out breadchain.xyz, which is a project that I co-founded with some friends where we're doing that. So yeah.
I knew I was forgetting to mention something from your like activities and from the intro, and that was it, guys. Make sure to check out Breckchain. It's a super interesting project. With all of that said, once again, huge thanks for coming on, both of you guys. This was a fascinating conversation. And the last thing that remains is, of course, giving the dear audience their POAPs. So it's a tradition on NIM community calls, if this is your first time here, that all of these, or every single one of these community calls is commemorated with a POAP. So the link, along with the branding, as you can see, has changed. As you know, we recently launched nim.com from nimtech.net. So now the link, which Salazar hopefully can share in the chat, yes, is nim.com/go/POAP. And the password for today's POAP is going to be "You are my exit liquidity." I think that was a fitting secret phrase. Take care, everybody. Don't fall for stupid scams. All right. Not financial advice, of course. As always, have a lovely evening, day, or whatever it may be in your region, and see you all very soon. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.